All right. So I guess uh President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador had a visit with Trump today at the White House, and this comes on the heels of Trump's deportation of a Maryland man, Kilmar Garcia, who was here illegally, although he did have an asylum claim. According to some, he has a credible fear that he will be killed by gang members should he be returned to his home country. Uh, to me, it's hard for me to tell exactly how truthful his claims are versus the government's claims. However, what does seem to be true is that he did have a stay of deportation issued upon him. So his presence was known, and the government before now basically said we'll halt his deportation while we look into the matter. Uh, and Bukele, now that this man has been put into this supermax prison, came to the White House and made a comment, something along the lines of, well, we will not be returning this guy to the U.S. Basically, this washes Trump's hands of the matter because Trump has been ordered by the Supreme Court to bring this guy back. However, it's not really his. I say this all in like air quotes. This is not like really in his jurisdiction because it's in another country. So they've kind of found a loophole to keep this guy in El Salvador. It's a whole mess. But Wyatt, let me. Is there anything you'd like to add to this story? Any context I missed, and then go ahead and give me your thoughts on the matter. And then once you relay to me your thoughts, I'll give some of mine.
Yeah, I mean, basically just to give a quick like re-summary. So this guy gets pulled over right on the side of the road, and they're letting him know that he's going to be deported, right?
Hmm.
And he's like, "No, I've got protected status. Like I'm allowed to be here." Right. Because, in like 2019 or something, they were like, all right, you have an asylum case. Like if you go back, like they're gonna kill you. Um, so he has some sort of legal protection, right? But
Yes.
they accuse him of being a member of MS-13. That's like their whole argument, right? That's their entire thing. So you must think, first of all, they admitted in court that this dude was deported by mistake. And it's not just one guy. Like Stephen Miller tries to say that it's just one guy and we fired him. They fired a DOJ lawyer who is like their top immigration guy. Like this dude just got promoted because he's such like a kick-ass lawyer, right?
Yeah.
For the Justice Department, and then they fired him over this mess because the dude wouldn't lie to a judge, basically, who said that like, yeah, this is, and it's not just him, like four or five other officials admitted, yeah, this was an error. This was an error, And they start going back, and like you're seeing this massive campaign to call this guy a terrorist, right?
Yeah.
And their proof of that is that well, he's a member of MS-13, and the media said, "What's the evidence that he's in MS-13?" And they said, "Bulls hoodie, the Chicago Bulls hoodie, Chicago Bulls hat." And they do have like a confidential informant who has never met Garcia, which is hilarious, right? They've got a confidential informant that has never met him, who says that he belongs to the Western clique of MS-13 in New York. And there's a problem with that. Garcia has never lived in New York. He's actually never even been. So, the judge obviously ruled that like no, nuh-uh, not enough evidence, because the Trump administration's admitting that this guy, he didn't commit a crime, right? Like he didn't get. It's not like they caught him stealing tools or something. This guy just works construction in Maryland. Like he's a law-abiding. I shouldn't say citizen, but he's a law-abiding resident. You know. And then the Supreme Court says like, no, you have to facilitate the return. And they're like, well, we technically only have to do that if El Salvador wants to bring him back. And well, we're just gonna be buddy buddy with Bukele, like, you know. And then Stephen Miller goes out there on Fox News and basically declares victory. That's the go-to strategy. Is they lost 9-0. Like even Clarence Thomas wouldn't side with this, and they were like, "Oh, total victory. Everyone relax." Like it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, and you know, there are claims that I believe I've seen from I think JD Vance that this guy, this Kilmar Abrego Garcia is like might have some petty criminal past, but I don't know how if those claims are well founded. I'm 90% certain that this guy's only crime is having been here illegally. With that being so, on one hand, I actually do feel some sympathy for him because now he's in this prison, and he didn't seem to be a bad guy necessarily. On the other hand, though, I do like to see action being taken in terms of deporting these people. And I understood going into it, when you have 10 million people coming in 4 years, the effort to get them out is not going to be, you're not going to be able to be super judicious with every person you deport. It would be an administrative nightmare. It would take too many resources that we don't have. So the logical consequence of that is, well, some, you know, relative innocents are going to be caught up in this process, and that will be unfortunate. But on the other hand, uh, I value deporting them more so than I do like concerns. I mean, it's one guy. It's one guy. You know, and honestly, he shouldn't have been here in the first place. So my sympathies are, I do have some, but it's my sympathies are also limited.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. And he's not one of those 10 million that came in under Biden, right? But um which I know
Oh
that
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
matter to
he's
you.
been vetted.
I'm just saying that for the audience, like just to reference that. But you're right, there has been a massive influx into this country. Um you know me, I'm not the most anti-immigration guy. But I will say that like I feel like stuff like this is kind of inexcusable. Like this guy had basically, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not technically asylum, but it is like a baseline level of legal protection, right? So like if it was an asylum claim, then the State Department couldn't just revoke it. You know what I mean? But um, and
Hmm.
I mean, listen, I mean, let's wait for this to be adjudicated before we say for certain. But like right now, it really does not look like this guy's a member of MS-13. You know, like it really doesn't look that way. Um,
Yeah,
like,
I would agree. I don't think this guy is some hardened criminal. I think
I mean, I'll
honestly,
say this: you could not get a conviction on a U.S. citizen on the amount of evidence they had. I'll say that. You know, like, um,
oh yeah, yeah.
but you know, I do understand that. Like, I mean, here's the fact. All right, this is just the fact of the matter. Of those 10 million that came in, very small percentage of those people are going to be like your serial criminals, like the people that are shoplifting, killing people, doing other like arson, every whatever crime, right? That percent is probably less than 1% of those 10 million. So, you know, you being willing to bite the bullet, that's like, okay, listen, It's going to be, some poor Home Depot worker. Maybe it's a daycare associate who's never committed a crime, right? But they did come here illegally and they don't have a right to be here. Like, you're willing to bite that bullet. I just don't know if the administration is willing to take the price politically, which is why, just to be honest with you, like, that's why they're not really. I mean, the whole idea of mass deportations is just not happening. But it seems like the people they're going after couldn't be worse, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, at risk of being repetitious, I mean, it's like, you know, out of the 10 million, that came in under Biden, or even, however many are here, the vast majority, probably 99.9, maybe not 99.9, but let's say 99% are totally fine, people that really don't even cause any real problems other than, the inherent strain of their presence. Uh, so, I went into this understand with full understanding that, there would be stories like this which tug at the heartstrings, but ultimately, we are a sovereign nation, and uh, it is our right to control the uh, immigration of people into our country. So my sympathies are limited, but I've said I think all I have to say on the matter.
Sure, go ahead.
All
Oh,
right.
oh,
Well,
really quick, really quick. They do have a hearing on Tuesday, which for the audience, we are recording this on Monday, like always. On Tuesday, the judge who said that they have to facilitate the deportation is going to see if they agree with the current standing, which my guess is going to be that they won't, but ultimately it'll get appealed to the Supreme Court again, and the Supreme Court will decide if they want to go the extra step or not. So I'm sure this is the last we'll hear about this. So, stay tuned. But go ahead, Darren. Next topic.
thank you for actually providing that context, just so our listeners don't think we left anything out when this gets posted later in the week.